The Culture Pop Podcast is brought to you by the law offices of Jacob Emrani.
Accident or injury, call Jacob Emrani. Call Jacob.
Hey, it's Mase. If you or a friend or loved one is injured in an accident, the first person you should call is my friend Jacob. When I did this, Jacob was great. He helped me by talking through the next steps, which really put my mind at ease. When you're injured in an accident, you got to have an expert. That's why you call Jacob, just like I did. Call Jacob, 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB, or visit calljacob.com.
Call Jacob.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Culture Pop Podcast. I'm Steve Mason along with Sue Kalinsky, Sue Ballou, last show of the year. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling
Excellent.
good. Feeling ready for the new year.
Yeah, I'm ready. Well, first I got the holiday. I'm very busy holidays. Very busy. By the way, you're listening to this in January. We're recording this on December 22nd. So we're reminding you of the Christmas spirit. So my mom and not stepdad Leo are staying with us for a couple of days. We're going to see a show called Love Actually. It's based on the movie. It's a Broadway style show, I guess you would call it, with great music. Then we're going to Vito's, great old school Italian restaurant, which Sue, you've been to.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
It is.
Santa Monica.
It is classic. And then we're going to LAWRY's Prime Rib, which they've got Christmas carolers. They've got, the big prime rib. They've got a spinning salad bowl. It's like a whole big thing. So it's a really, really big few days here.
Is that the Lowry's that's on La Cienega?
Yes.
I think that's the only restaurant. That was like Restaurant Row for so many years. I think that's the only original restaurant of its kind that's
Is that
still
right?
there. I think so.
I was thinking is maybe Fogo de Chao is up there maybe?
Yeah, but that came later.
Okay, got it. You're talking about the original.
Lowry's, like when I first moved here from New York, Lowry's, I used to go there with like a lot of comedian friends.
Yeah.
And we'd have like a ritual where we'd all go out and have steak dinner.
Speaking of steak, I'm glad you mentioned the word steak.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about a steakhouse in West Los Angeles called Dear John's, which is like a place that Frank Sinatra used to hang out at in the States. A great old school steakhouse. Like the waiters have been there for 100 years and all that stuff. So there was a dispute that broke out. Me and my fraternity brothers went there for dinner. And my friend, Jim Pertel, said, I'll have a steak and please make it medium rare plus. And the waiter looked at him and said, what is medium rare plus? There is either medium rare or there is medium. There is no such thing as medium rare plus. He said, no, there's a difference. There's not. There was a huge dispute that broke out. And ultimately the waiter won because medium rare plus is medium. Like medium minus is medium rare. Medium, do you see what I'm saying? Medium well plus is well. Medium well minus is medium.
Right. Well, it seems like, medium rare minus would be just rare.
That's right. Medium rare minus would be rare.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But anyway, he added that plus, and it really offended the waiter. He said, our chef cooks medium rare and medium. So decide one way or the other.
Do you want pink or you don't want pink?
Right, exactly. But it turned into a thing. Hey, I want to talk about some movies. It's that time of year, and I've been watching movies like crazy. Sue, I know you have too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 3 that I saw in the last couple of weeks that I want to talk about. I think you've seen all the same ones.
I have.
Okay, so first I want to start with my favorite movie of the year, which is called Past Lives. It is written and directed by Celine Strong. It stars Greta Lee, who the only place I've ever seen her was The Morning Show. She was really good on there. And the premise is that there is like this love between two people that can't be satisfied, at least not in this lifetime. And this is a movie that more than any other this year made me cry at the end. Now, Sue, what did you think of Past Lives?
I thought it was a really beautiful movie. I tell you, one of my favorite things, I love the way it opened. It was Greta Lee.
Yep.
The guy that she had grown up with who came to visit, and her husband, and she was in the middle of the two of them.
Yes.
And you see a wide shot of the three of them sitting
This
at
is
a
brilliant.
bar.
You're absolutely right.
They're sitting in a bar, and you hear voiceover of people trying to figure out what their relationship is.
Yeah, it was like what's their
who's
story,
the
I
boyfriend?
wonder.
Who's the husband? And because I do that all the time.
Yes. Like, what's the story with those people?
Yeah, like I'll see a couple, and I'm like, how long have they been together? Are they married? You know?
Oh, so you'll play that? Yeah, they played that game.
I play that game a lot.
The beauty of it is there's no way some casual could look at them and figure out exactly the unbelievably complex dynamics of those relationships, right?
Sure.
But I mean, just and I don't want to give away to an ending, but there's a moment in it that reminds me of Lost in Translation where he whispers in her ear at the end and we never know what he whispered. It's got one of those to it that I just absolutely love.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's throughout, you know, because she started this relationship when they were kids.
Yeah, we should say so. Two little kids, and she goes off to the United States, and later they meet at least on Zoom and on social media, and then they ultimately meet. Right. And
but there's years and years apart. So they meet 12 years after she moved, and then they wait another 7 years or something like that, and see each other again. Okay.
Yeah, it is romantic. It is unrequited love, I think is the best way to describe it. It's my favorite movie of the year. Absolutely love it. Okay. This one, it's funny. I brought this up the other day and you were like, because you'd watched only part of it.
Right.
So the movie is May, December. It is streaming on Netflix. By the way, past lives you can rent on Apple or rent on Amazon Prime. May, December is on Netflix. It's directed by Todd Haynes. It stars Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, and Charles Melton. And one of the reasons, and I want to be careful how I talk about this, see if you follow me on this. So I want to be careful about how I talk about it because the mystery is slowly revealed. Like, I didn't know what their relationship was until we got deeper into the story. Do you know what I'm saying? Did you know right away that there had been a thing? Or yeah, now we're talking around it. Did you know right away that there had been a thing?
No.
See, that's the thing. It was the slow reveal that got me. And this guy, Charles Melton, who's definitely going to be nominated for an Oscar, the only place I'd ever seen him was the TV show Riverdale. Cheesy, entertaining. He's great. And Julianne Moore and Natalie, I mean, how do you argue with them? But when I originally talked to you about this movie, you said you'd seen part of it and you stopped. So what's your reaction now?
I really wasn't crazy about the movie.
Really?
No. It just, yeah, there were scenes in it that reminded me of that spoof in Saturday Night Live when they did the Californians.
Yes.
Overly dramatic, like, look, and the music was just so...
Well, that's Todd Haynes. That's what Todd Haynes does.
I know, but it was so over the top. I read the funniest review about it on Facebook. Some comedian wrote, I never thought I'd watch a film where that would make me hate 2 months.
Really? That's very funny.
I thought that was very funny.
It is.
It made it made me uncomfortable only because I just wasn't enjoying it really, and I wasn't really even enjoying the performances. I thought he was great. I just thought that it seemed like a Hallmark movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, there's a tricky line with Todd Haynes, who made Far From Heaven, among other. He's very, very melodramatic. By the way, can you hear the rain on my roof right now?
I cannot.
Good. It is pouring.
Oh, it's not raining. It's not raining here.
Right. So I liked it. I didn't love it. It's not like the greatest movie of the year, but I liked it, especially for sort of the mystery as it's unraveled and the performance of Charles Melton, which I think is great. And the third one, and we've had Colman Domingo on the show. fantastic.
Mm.
He plays civil rights leader Bayard Rustin in a movie called Rustin. Rustin was a big civil rights leader, a very close confidant of the Reverend Dr. Michael. What am I saying? I'm talking about my minister, Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. Of course, I mean
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King. I don't know why I got into the whole Dr.
You
Reverend.
didn't have to say doctor.
Very confused. I didn't need doctor or Reverend.
You could have just said MLK.
MLK. It would have been fine. So he's very close with them, but he is an untold chapter because he happened to be gay, which was difficult for really the entire civil. There was a fear that in some way that would hurt the civil rights movement and the March on Washington. It's written by Julian Brees and Dustin Lance Black. It is directed by George C. Wolfe. Sue, what do you think?
It was such an amazing movie. He could not be more incredible. From the physicality to rocking the fake teeth,
Yeah,
to the way his hair was, there was such a, it was so complex. His
Yes.
character, I mean, you can just feel his pain and his passion and his love and I can't believe that I never even heard of this guy.
right. Same with me. It's like a completely and he's walking that tightrope the entire time. Is somebody going to find out about his sexuality? Is that going to somehow hurt the March on Washington? There are people that thought it would. In the end, he became one of the big, he orchestrated the March on Washington and the King speech. The one little nugget I have as a complaint, and obviously the movie is about the Rustin character, I felt like it wrapped up a little bit quickly once they got to the March on Washington. That's my one little nugget. But as a character piece, as an acting piece, oh my God, Colman Domingo is just spectacular.
He's nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yes, he is. And he's got a real shot at an Oscar nomination. I hope he gets it.
There's one line that I loved so much where someone called him irrelevant and he said, "It's Friday night." What did he say? He says, "It's Friday night. I've been called worse."
Yeah, that's right. That's a great line. That's a great line.
Such a great line.
Yeah. So those three movies, Rustin on Netflix, which we both like, May, December on Netflix, which one of us likes, and then Past Lives, which is great. Go rent it. It's fantastic. So you have the unique accomplishment of having appeared in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm.
So Larry David has announced that this next season of Curb is going to be the last one. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's done this before where he said it's the last one, then he came back and did it again. But
it's like Frank Sinatra. How many times did he retire?
Right. I've already got tickets for Elton John's next comeback tour or his next retirement tour. So I think that what do you think as far as this goes, the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm? Where does it stand in the legacy and the pantheon of great TV comedies?
Oh, one of the best. One of the best. I mean, just the uniqueness of it all. Sometimes when you're doing a show that's showbiz related, it's really hard to get people engaged in it.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes it's a little too inside baseball. It's a tough sell even to networks to even pick up shows like this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it's Larry. I mean,
Yeah.
It's an extension of what he was at Seinfeld, and he brought himself into the fray.
Yeah.
And it's cast. The casting is just insanely great. And the fact that it's basically improv. I mean, I told you, you when I auditioned, I got like a little piece of paper, looked like a fortune cookie piece of paper.
Really? Wow.
And it has a couple of lines of what the gist of your scene is. And then you just go. And my scene was with Larry. And
Right.
I just improvised with him. And my biggest fear, because I knew some of the people who were in the room, some of the actors, I never wanted it to get out that Sue Kalinsky like stunk up the room, in the audition. So, and I knew Larry, and he made me so comfortable. We had, a little bit of conversation. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I had gotten married since the last time I saw him. I had been with Kenny forever. So he always associated me with Kenny. And, he's like, what, you got married? I didn't know. How did I not know you got married? This is how I find out.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think the people in the room kind of felt the love he had for me, which was great. And let
me ask you something. A lot of people will say, well, Larry, because his character, Larry on the show is a dick, right? Larry in real life is not like Larry on TV, right?
He is not a dick. And to give you an idea of how lovely Larry is, when in between takes, he's a golfer. I golf. Yeah. So in between takes.
Did you use air quotes when you said golf? No. I golf? Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Because I've seen you play. You're back out there?
I'm back out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I wasn't horrible when I golf with you.
No,
was
not
I?
The worst. I was the worst.
You were worse.
Yeah.
So anyway, in between takes, we were standing across from one another, and at the same time, we both were practicing our golf swings, right?
Right.
So he looks at me and he says, "Oh, pretty good." He's like, "Let me see that again," And then he looked at me and he said, I think I used everyone. I think I used everybody. And what he meant by that was, being that I was a comedian.
Yeah.
He cast so many comedians that he had known from the early days of doing stand-up. And he took a lot of pride in that. He's like, when he said, I think I used everybody, it was very important to him to give people a shot on the show. And he couldn't have been more kind.
Oh, that's really cool.
And he is. He's just like that in his life. I shot a documentary with him a couple of years ago about the improv softball team.
Right.
And he was a big part of it. He pitched. And I think he played first base. And when we went to his office to interview him, and he said yes, like right away. He had a picture of him on the field with some of the comics,
Right, right.
It was the Show Business League.
Ah, that's cool.
And he loved talking about those years because every comic who played on that team, it was to some of the comics, it was more important to play well than to get a spot at the club.
Yeah, sure.
Because and it actually helped you. If you played like Ray Romano, he was a baby comic at the time. He was getting maybe late night spots.
Right.
And he was one of the stars of the softball team. I mean, he hit home runs all the time. And I think it kind of helped him at the club.
Wow. So the softball gave him a boost.
Yeah.
Now you played a lesbian on the Curb show. And were you worried about being typecast as a lesbian?
Never. I wasn't really going out for anything at that time. I was working. I think I was working on Newlyweds.
Yes.
So I was, knee deep in producing shows. I still had a little bit of a hand in stand-up at the time, but I wasn't. I threw away the dream of being an actress years and years before that. And the casting agent, Allison Jones, knew me from my stand-up because she cast everything. She cast funny people. She did a lot of stuff with Judd, but she cast a lot of comedies. And she called up my literary agent. She tracked me down.
Wow.
And got me the audition. And she also got me the audition for Funny People, Judd's movie.
Yeah. I'll tell you, if I was to pick a show that I could make, by the way, I have not given up my acting dream yet. I'm still hanging on to that.
You're still alive.
Clutching. I think of all the shows, that would be like the ultimate one to do a bit on. Because I'm a super good ad-libber, Sue. I'm a good ad-libber. And that's what it takes to do well there, right? Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, though. It's kind of like, I guess, as an athlete, every athlete Or, okay, I'll go the athlete route first.
Yeah.
Every athlete, wants to be in the World Series, wants to win a World Series, but you want to get the opportunity to get to that point, As a comedian, when I was coming up, being on the Tonight Show or being on Letterman, but being on the Tonight Show with Johnny was, that was like the goal. And as an actor or comedian or anybody, to be on Curb Your Enthusiasm, I mean, I treasure the fact that I was on the show.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah. Weren't you on the same episode as Rosie?
I was.
Yeah. It was a very funny episode. Very funny episode. So I wanted to bring up one you have some. What did you want to bring up?
Well, this was just kind of a silly thing that I saw the other day.
I love silly things.
Being that I golf, I mean, you may not, people may not think it's silly. I think it's silly and dangerous. Yeah. So I was reading about this golf course in Kenya. I see if I could pronounce it. Skazuza Golf Course.
Okay.
Where it's on like an animal sanctuary. It's built on an animal sanctuary. So there are wild animals, dangerous animals, lions and leopards and hyenas and there's elephants and hippos in the lakes that are on the golf course at the same time you're golfing.
Now there must be some enclosure protecting you from.
There is no enclosure. They have like guards, I guess, that drive around in golf carts to warn you that, there's a lion on the ninth hole.
Right. You got to chip over that line.
But it's like, it's like.
That's crazy. That doesn't feel safe to me.
It doesn't feel safe at all. And, there's that line that people say all the time, like when you're swimming in the ocean, they're like, oh, sharks, they really don't want to kill you. And it's like, yeah, but they do. What do you mean they don't want to kill you? They do. Yeah. They want to eat.
Yes, they do.
And you are prey. So maybe not, maybe there are some sharks that are like, nah, I'm not really into people. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they show footage of this lion.
By the way, some of the dangerous, like hippos, are super dangerous animals.
Oh, God.
Elephants are very mellow, but lions and tigers and bears.
Yeah, and they showed, I mean, this is just, it's horrific to even think about it, but they showed like a photo, or maybe there was a video of it too, of a giraffe that these lions had chased down on the course and were like eating the giraffe in the middle of the fairway.
These are like nobody's ever had that hazard to play around, have they? Oh, lions surrounding a giraffe.
Yeah, there was a feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow, that's amazing.
Crazy.
I wonder, it must be super expensive to play.
And of course, you have to sign a disclaimer that you're aware that
a waiver, exactly.
A waiver that you're on you can be killed.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
I mean, I love golf,
cool.
but I'm adventurous up to a point. And look, there are people that they said that it's one of those things where you may want to go just as a spectator, like in a golf cart, just to see, because it's a beautiful golf course.
Well, you could probably outrun things in a golf cart, right?
I don't know.
No, maybe not.
These animals, right. like leopards.
Cheetahs? Yeah, leopards.
Forget about it.
Yeah. No, you know what I would do? I'd want to play it. I think it would be cool to play it. The experience. Life is about the experience, Sue.
Yeah. Well, when you have to ask the lion, can I play through?
Can I play through? All right, I got one last thing. So I'm curious about this, Sue. Pew Research did a study, and they say that 63% of young men under the age of 30 are single. That is the highest it's ever been. 63% of young men single. 50% of them have no interest in dating, not even casually. And get this, 30% of young men under 30, have not had sex in over a year and do not care. Now, I can tell, moment of honesty. I had a lot of sex when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get why young guys are not out there having fun. Do you have any theory as to why?
Well, I don't know when did they do this?
This is a brand new survey from Pew.
I mean, I think the pandemic maybe had something to do with people maybe not having sex or wanting
Guys
to
got
have sex.
used to living without sex, so they keep on living without sex.
Someone that young kind of surprises me
Yeah.
because your libido as a man,
Oh my
especially,
God,
even as a woman at that age, you know, I mean, it just seems to me that men's libido, you know, lasts much longer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I definitely don't have the desire as much as my husband does, and we're around the same age,
Right.
you know. Well, these guys 80 years old having kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's true anymore. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean,
I do. I know
mean,
exactly what it is, Sue.
what is it?
Porn.
Oh,
It is porn.
wow.
The access to and the readily available porn this is my opinion, has allowed guys to stay single and still, I guess, itch that scratch. I mean, you know, Pornhub is like the fourth most visited website on the internet. You, by the way, you don't get the porn thing at all. Like women tend to not watch porn, men do. But you claim that Tom, your husband, does not watch porn.
He definitely does not. Well, I mean, I'll ask him.
I guarantee you he does.
I'll ask him.
I guarantee you he does.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask him if he does because he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would watch porn.
Every kind of guy watches porn. I don't know a guy that doesn't watch porn.
All right, I'm going to go look at his computer when I get off the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Do a search of his history. See where he's been hanging out. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And I think, by the way, that's why couples have less sex than they used to. It's like, I'll watch some porn, avoid all the negotiations or whatever. A lot of negotiations.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of saddens me because there's a certain, just the intimacy. It's funny. As I get older, one of the things I was talking to a girlfriend about this not that long ago. One of the things that I miss about being younger, like when I was a teenager or even like in junior high school where I had like a very strong, my libido was so high and like I didn't have like intercourse at that age, but I had
third base.
Yeah, third base for sure.
Yeah.
So,
rounded third. Were you rounding third, heading for home?
No.
No. Okay.
No. It was like, no, I'm too young. I'm
right
totally too young to do this. But I was so excited. I mean, I just like, it was at that age where like, if you were sitting next to a guy or a girl that, really that you just loved, or you were just so attracted to, and they'd like brushed up against you, it would be like, oh my God. I mean, I would get this like jolt, throughout my body that they touched me. Like there's like, and I remember, the idea of, I remember one time, my mom was pretty cool with like, I was allowed to have boys in my room, like in junior high school, and, I remember my parents were out and my boyfriend came over and it was just the two of us in the house. And I shared a room with my sister.
Right.
And, I took a shower before while my parents were away. Now, nothing had happened at that point.
Right.
I'm going to be so honest here.
Okay.
So, I gave him a hand job, right? And
yes,
he jizzed on my sister's bedspread, right? So when my and then my parents came home, right, and she opened the door. And I just sat there and my hair was wet. His hair wasn't wet. It wasn't like we took a shower together.
Yeah.
But there was like a spot that she noticed on the bed and she didn't say anything. Maybe she thought it was wet, maybe she wanted to believe it was wet because maybe it was from my hair or something like that. Maybe we were making out on the bed or something. And I was like, oh my God. But that feeling of like a parent walking in.
Oh yeah.
While you were doing something sexual.
Yep.
Like, it's like that excitement of maybe getting caught,
Oh, really? So you were into the sort of the danger.
Little little bit of
part
a
of it.
danger of
Yeah.
maybe getting caught, you
Yeah.
know? So that I was talking to girlfriends about it and like just missing that. But just the intensity of a young age of having a guy so close to you. Oh, it was like electric.
Okay, so you want some honesty?
Yeah, well, I gave you some, so you give me some.
Clearly, I owe you a story. So until I was 27 years old, never slept with a guy.
How old?
Ever. 27.
27. Okay. But you had slept with girls.
I'd slept with women my whole life, but I knew I was gay. So I was going along with the charade.
Did you not like the sex with the women?
It was okay, especially when I was young. It was totally fine.
Okay.
Not what I really desired, but it was pleasurable.
Were you
How about
thinking
that?
about guys while you were with the women?
Oh God, that's a very personal question.
Well,
Sometimes.
okay.
Sometimes. So when I came out at 28, I never, for all intents and purposes, never had sex. Had a lot of sex, but only with women. So come out at 28, I'm allowed to have sex with guys. And I am telling you, Sue, these kids, 30% of young men said they have not had sex in over a year and don't seem. I had so much sex. I mean, it was so pent up. And I mean, I started a story the other day with friends where I said, when I nailed these 2 Spaniards in Mykonos, I'm like, oh my God, did that phrase just leave my mouth? But that's the way. And by the way, we have different rules. We, the gays, have different rules for sex. A gay man.
Meaning?
Meaning like Jack and I have been together 17 years, which is 50 in gay years. I mean, really, there's a lot out, right? People have open relationships, all that kind of stuff. Guys, as you mentioned, guys have wild libidos when we're young. And so you make hay while the sun shines. And I made so much hay, including on Mykonos.
Okay, so you say you have different rules. Does that mean that it's open season?
No,
even
not at all. I'm in a monogamous relationship.
Good.
Absolutely not. Monogamous relationship for me. That's the only way I would ever want it. But I think that, like for example, there's should we talk? Yeah, we're talking we're pretty intimate here. So there's a term called body count. Have you ever heard the term body count used in relation to sex?
No, just when there's a lot of people who died.
Yeah, that's not what this is. Body count amongst the kids is how many people have you slept with?
Oh, yeah.
So my body count's high.
Mm-hmm.
Gay guys' body count is generally high. Women have a lower body count, just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Mm.
Years ago, I got together. I don't know if I ever told you the story. I got together, and we did it a couple of times with a couple of my girlfriends.
Okay.
And we called it the burning ceremony.
Okay.
And it's something that really needs to be done at some point. I wanted to do it as a stage show, kind of like the vagina monologues, you know?
Sure.
So we sat at a table. We all wrote a list of all the guys we ever had sex with. Right?
Really?
And then we lit a candle that we had in the middle of the table. And with wine and weed, we cut each name off the list.
Okay.
And as we put it, and we talked about the person and who the person was, you know, there was like a guy in college that I slept with. It was Bill something the third. I didn't even know his
Bill
last
the
name.
third.
Bill something the third. He lived in my dorm, right? And then we would burn the name. So we were kind of like burning these people. It was cathartic.
You're releasing.
So we were burning these people out of our lives. And during the course of doing it.
How many candles did it take? Did you go through candles?
I don't know. I think we had.
We're done burning. Let's get another candle. Got more names.
I don't recall how many candles it was, but I found out that there was a girlfriend of mine. We had someone in common that we had no idea we had in common.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, there definitely are women that have had a lot of sex. I mean,
yeah, I'm not questioning.
Not Wilt Chamberlain sex, but a lot of sex.
I'm shy of Wilt Chamberlain. North of you, but south of Wilt Chamberlain. That's a good way to describe it.
But what makes me sad about these statistics is that, and I guess it's not for everybody, to have that intimacy, to have sex with somebody that you have intimacy with, because to me, I've had both. I've had sex with people that I had no connection to, and I could care less if I ever saw them again.
Yeah.
And then to have that added connection.
Yeah.
To me, it just heightens the sex and the relationship.
Well, your assignment is find out if your husband Tom watches porn. And by the way, his answer is going to be no. And then you're going to press him on it.
No, he'll tell me the truth.
You'll get him in a chair, and there'll be a light bulb swinging back and forth. Have you now, or have you ever watched porn?
I'll be smoking the room.
Exactly.
I'll be wearing a suit.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's a very interesting culture pop. It got pretty randy at the end there.
Talked about golf courses with dangerous animals to me giving a hand job in my bedroom
and
when my mother almost catching me.
Spaniards in Mykonos. So there you have it. That wraps up the show. There's your summary. Those are the Cliff's Notes for today's show. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to this channel so you will not miss any of our shows. And please leave us a comment or a reaction. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, subscribe to this channel. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment. All the reviews, all the comments, all the ratings, they help us with the algorithm as we continue to grow the show. Sue, I would say Merry Christmas, except it doesn't make any sense for you.
Yes, it does. I married a non-Jew.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So do you have a Christmas tree up?
We don't. We have Christmas lights.
Lights.
And we have lights in the house.
Well, listen, I will not talk to you until the new year. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Ask Tom if he watches porn.
I will.
Okay. Hey, thanks everybody for watching and for listening to the Culture Pop Podcast. Happy New Year. We'll see you next time.